Welcome everybody to the Genesis Mindset. Exciting day in Pulsechain today. Everything's going bonkers. We had a huge Pulsechain pump, 24%. We got a pump ecosystem wide. We got Atropa pumps, BFF pumps. We got Somi unleashing fire as per usual. We got the ecosystem lighting up. We got Twitter lighting up. We got people saying it's the sacrifice wallets. Very exciting news today. So let's dive straight into it. Let's have a look at some of the movements that are happening in the Pulsechain ecosystem. So very first of all, take a look at this. I mean, what a delicious little pump. It was a 20, well, sorry, I said 24. Oh yeah, okay, all right. So it was at some point up around 24%. I think that's where I'd seen it, possibly 30%. So I always do Heiken-Ashi, so it's not like strictly 100% accurate, but I just like the way that it looks. So you get a nice flow, you get a nice feel for the flow of liquidity. That's why I like Heiken-Ashi. So a juicy little pump, HEX pumped, Pulsechain pumped, PLSX pumps, and we've got the HEX conference going off as well. So it's like, it is like this signal to the market, perhaps, from our boy Dickie Hart. So let's actually, I want to just play this little video clip here from Habibi Amdukhali, Somi, and it's just going to explain this little pump that's happened today. And there's something very key, something very important about this that I want to emphasize. So let's play this little clip.
It's normally work. Now, I'm going to tell you, this next part I'm telling you is fully speculation in our ecosystem. However, it's not speculation in terms of the...
Sorry, he also mentioned before then, this is only 0.5% of the sacrifice wallet and it pumped 20%. So, hey-oh!
Real economy. Or with Ripple and what they did to XRP. So what I'm telling you is actually what happens in the real world, but it does not necessarily, we don't have evidence that it applies in our ecosystem. However, what happens in the real world is, you see the public announcement number? When the Fed wants to hike rates, for example, now I'm going to do a bad way and then a good way. So when the Fed wants to hike rates, they hike rates, but what they do is they have friends, they're insiders, who will attack the bonds and the bills, the interest rate pricing, immediately on the announcement. It's planned. It's to send a signal to the market, you better pay attention to this. They have people to do that. They're always ready to go. Okay, just in case the market isn't like playing nice. Okay, so they have these people, there's always emergency. Contrary on the upside, like the bull case, the money printer mode, so that was money like stopping, money supply stopping. This is money expanding. What they'll do is they'll send the public announcement. First, they want people to notice the announcement. So they send out the beacon. They go, oh my gosh, QE here. Then they have their insiders with the cavalry. The cavalry is all the horses and the swords and the shields and the bow and arrows. Yes, all the money comes in after everyone's aware. Start really driving it up. They're smart. This is, yes, it's manipulation. It's how the real world works. They want all of us to look first to see the big announcement, and then they want to print like a big fat green monthly candle. Smack it. Because they know the news, which they also control, will then talk to everybody and say, hey, the market loves this QE because we have confidence again. We believe that the economy is great. Now, as your friend here with a straight back wearing a bull hat, I'm now translating it to crypto. Now,
okay, so obviously what Somi is saying is there's evidence that they're doing this in the traditional financial system. This is what they do. You have to be in the club. You have to be in the boys' club in order to reap the rewards from that. And this was something growing up where I was like, something is not right with the way the world works. How come it's so skewed in favor of a certain select few people, and then the rest of the people just get shat on? It's not right. It's not fair. It's ridiculous. And when I see this and it's like, oh my gosh, connecting the dots, like we're just doing exactly what they're doing. You know, I must admit, you know, somebody's spoken about a Greg named Duck, if he had a pond, pumping the boys' bags. And I was like, that was always like, yeah, I bet Dickie's pumping the boys' bags, but is that legal, isn't it? Is it illegal? I don't really know. And I thought this is not really the right way to play it. But then I realized, hang on a minute, I mentioned this yesterday, like just out of curiosity. And somebody said that this is exactly what Apple does. This is exactly what majority of the stock market is doing. They just do share buybacks. So they're pumping their bags. They're pumping the boys' bags. They're pumping their own bags. And then you've got the central, the Fed pumping boys' bags, and then the boys pump their bags. It's like, this is how it really all works. And so then it's like, my fear is evaporated. It's gone. It's like, so this is what we're doing here. At first, when I saw this pump, I was like, oh man, like, could Richard get in trouble for this? Like, we shouldn't be sharing the wallet addresses and all this kind of stuff. Like, just leave it. But it's like, well, one, it's just speculation. And two, it's like, well, this is what they do. This is exactly what they do. And now we're doing it. So the only way to beat them at their game is to set up another game and play different rules. So if they can do it, why can't we? That's how I look at it. And it's like, the cracks are starting. Well, the cracks have been showing for a long time in the traditional financial system. There's a reason why they go to other countries and destroy their political systems and implant the US dollar. It's because it needs to happen. That's what it actually needs to happen. They go and murder people. People like, oh man, yeah, I don't want to get too political here, but as an Australian, I'm disgusted with our government and the treatment that we've given to Julian Assange. When Americans were murdering civilians in Afghanistan and the evidence was shown to WikiLeaks and WikiLeaks showed it to the world, instead of the Australian government having balls, they've actually just bent over backwards and said, okay, America, stick it right in my ass and just do what you want. And it makes me sick. It actually makes me sick that we're so spineless as a country that now we have this guy who's basically like showing the world like how disgusting the world is at the moment. And he's being crucified. He's locked up he's locked up somewhere. He's holed up and he's like deteriorating. Like there's no freedom. Like it actually makes me so sick. It makes me so sick. It makes me so sick. I can't. But you just got to accept the world as it is. And the only thing that you can do is put your energy towards gratitude, put your energy towards actually being a part of the change. I cannot change that. I do not have the power for that. I'm just this little pleb who runs a meditation center. I don't have any power whatsoever. What can I do? What can I do? The only thing that I can do is actually contribute to something that I see is going to be fair and positive for the rest of the world, because that old system is dying. It's dying. It's like, okay, let's have a look at this. I don't know what you guys know about zombie companies. So how many companies are there in the S&P? Zombie companies in the S&P 500? Zombie companies already make up 11.5% of the US listed companies. So do you know what that means? Zombie companies are essentially companies that they don't make enough profit to survive. So they just survive on debt. So they borrow money and then they just keep putting it into their business, but they're never going to make enough money to be able to pay back the debt. So they're just surviving on debt. And so what actually happens with that debt? Everybody else gets screwed over by that debt because everybody's getting taxed. And so we're just supplementing a company which, if it was true free market, true capitalism, they would die. But it's not. It's like some form of like, this is going to be touchy, but it's like communistic capitalism, because you're just looking after the boys, looking after your boys. But it's not really true capitalism, actually. So it's like manipulated free market. And if it's sustained on debt, which is imaginary money, and it can never pay that back, do you know what that is? Do you know what that is? Do you know what that process is called in your body? It's called cancer. And do you know what cancer does? It kills you. Cancer is when the cells just keep multiplying and you just end up dying because it's multiplying in a way that you can't stop. And it's the same as that debt. The debt just keeps multiplying. They're never going to be able to pay the debt. They can never repair themselves. And they're just zombie companies. They're dead companies. So this is the way the financial system works at the moment. So when I look at cryptocurrency, when I look at all this fake internet money, I'm just like, yeah, just like our boy Dickie says, our internet money is better than your internet money. So let's go back into how things are pumping in Pulsechain today. Look at this. 2CC, 2 Cents Club, almost up 100%. Anon, DGen Anon, almost up 100% in the last 24 hours. BFF, we're going to go into BFF in a moment, up 70%. Crow, loving this initiative by the Tang Gang. The Tang Gang, man, the Tang Gang, what a community, what a grassroots, beautiful community. They work together as a community to bring eyeballs to the chain. So what are they doing? They're pumping Crow to get the attention of crypto.com, to get Pulsechain's attention on a centralized exchange. I think that's brilliant. I think what they're doing is brilliant. And the way that they collectivize and gravitate towards each other and actually do this together, that's the power of the Tang Gang. And also the Tang Gang's onboarding method is not It's not like the traditional way of onboarding. The traditional way of onboarding in cryptocurrency is going to a Twitter thread and rah, 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 rah. And then it's like rah, 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 rah. Everyone's just screaming about their thing. It's like, rah. And it's just noise. It's noise. And it's like, you just switch off to it because it means nothing. What they actually do, the way that they onboard is the equivalent of me sitting next to you and explaining things to you and you showing you the evidence and saying, look, this is what it is. This is what it is. You decide what you think. But this is actually how it is. That is beautiful. That is the energy exchange there of equals sitting down and like not teaching, but showing and letting that person decide. The Twitter is just like yelling my token in your face, and it's just like all the advertisements, and it's like white noise. It's nothing. I think that's brilliant. And Zach, shout out to Zach, was basically talking about there was like a little HEX meetup in where he is at the moment, and he was explaining the Atropa ecosystem to a particular guy, and this guy was really interested. So they're having a beer and talking together, and Zach was explaining, and then the guy's like, well, how do I buy Atropa? How do I get into that ecosystem? This is the way to onboard. This is actually the way to onboard. It's the same energetic exchange online as it is face-to-face. It's the same thing. It really is the same thing. It's not about the words. It's not about it's about the energy exchange. That's what actually matters. It's the energy exchange. It's what's actually happening beneath. But everybody looks at the surface and thinks that's the truth. But the surface is not the truth. It's like materialism versus energy. Energy and material. Material is just an illusion of energy. It's just clustered energy. That's all that it is. But we look at the material and say, oh, things like law of attraction is because I'm actually doing the work, so it's coming into my life. Like, yes, materialistically, that is how it works. But energetically, it's also being attracted to your life. These things are in the Quran. These things are in the Bible. These things are in all the religious scriptures. This is actually how the universe works. But we can't actually see this because we're living in a society that demands evidence. We're living in a society that's so rational. As Einstein says, we've become a society that worships the rational mind and has forgotten the gift, which is the intuitive mind. Don't ever forget the gift. Don't ever forget the gift. Don't ever give away the power of your gift to the world. Like, really embrace the world, be grateful to the world. I shouldn't say to the world, because when I say to the world, I'm talking about the universe. But don't ever give away your gift to some other authority that shouldn't have any authority over you. So, okay, everything is very exciting today. So again, bloody hell, HOA is pumping. So it's probably Sommy's pumping the HEX origin address. Link is pumping. HOA, Hedron's pumping. Arcosa, things are pumping. Things are moving. So now things are starting to move. This is, guys, this is exactly how people were calling it months ago, weeks ago. Pulsechain, HEX always lagged the market. Always. And so we have our time in the sun. So really, if you do want to play it well, people were criticizing people for taking liquidity out of Pulsechain and into other ecosystems. What if they're taking it out of Pulsechain into other ecosystems, making gains there, and then bringing that back into Pulsechain and then buffeting up the system in Pulsechain? You don't actually know that whether or not they're doing that or not. That's why it's better not to judge people's actions and just accept how things are. Okay, now let's actually have a look at this. So a few little things to clarify. So Mini. This is the M stands for Mini. So I spoke about this on a video a couple of other days. There's Mini ETH, Mini BTC, Mini DAI. There's a few different ones. I kind of forgot again already. Sunny's pub. But basically, I was saying that you would get a reward. So you would get a reward in the Pulsechain copy. It's not the Pulsechain copy that you get a reward in. It's in the from Ethereum that you get the reward from. So I'm going to have to go back. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm just going to quickly pause this. Okay, so yes, just to clarify, you get rewards. I said reflections. So reflections is like something that what A1A does. So for example, a reflection is where you're just getting the same token. This is a reward. So you're getting a different token. So the token that you're actually getting is the from Ethereum equivalent of that. So if this was MBTC, so Mini BTC, I'd be getting a reward in WBTC from Ethereum. So therefore, the strategy with these, if you're getting 1% a day, is you can set up liquidity pools and become a liquidity provider but bridged across assets. So this is a really interesting play. So really think about how you want to play this and what kind of assets within this mini ecosystem that you believe could actually really bring people across to the chain. If you think that there's one of those plays where you think, wow, that's really good, I would definitely recommend getting into that. Now, let's talk about BFF. So look at this. So it pumped. So this is when it caught my attention. I was here, $63, and I was like, nah, it's gone too far. I already did a 20x. I thought it was 10x. What a dumb play, but it's actually, how did I get that wrong? It's like I got a 10x wrong. So, and then it pumped another 11%, and I was like, fuck. And just kind of, I kind of FOMO'd in here, like, you shouldn't really follow me. I really kind of teach about not FOMOing. But just the excitement and euphoria around this, I was like, oh, okay, I'll just put a little bit of skin in the game. I'll put a little bit of skin in the game. And this is essentially what got me into Atropa as well. I pretty much kind of FOMO'd the tops, but I started scaling in as it came down. So that's my strategy. So if I do FOMO in, then I'll scale in as it comes down as well to lower my buy position. Now, then there was talk that it was going to 8,000. So what is it at the moment? So 8,000 from these lows, damn, it's pretty much, it's 8,000 from those lows is pretty much another 18, 19x. So if we look at it from here, so let's zoom in here. So if we look at it from here, 8,000 from the current prices, it's still man. Hey, did we see the 777? Shout out to Freedom 777. So if we get to 8,000, then it's still a 5 to 6x from these current prices. That's pretty good. Now, I'm not saying chase green candles. I'm not saying do that or don't do this. I'm just saying these are the potentials with where the market is, with the possibilities that are actually happening in the liquidity. So why is this actually important? Because there's a lot of things that are actually happening in the background. So Maria, again, the 414 dev is someone who's completely benevolent for this entire ecosystem, not just Atropa, but for the entire ecosystem. So she was talking about in the chat logs today that she doesn't actually sell down tokens. She's even held tokens from like long and long ago. She doesn't have that mindset of destroying prices. So this here, I was saying, who's got the dosh for a couple of prozzies for the boys? Where's that I'm rich bitch money at? So Maria was saying, I think 100K is about the total we're looking for to hit the mark. She was talking about BFF here. I'd rather see 10 8K investors than one at 100K. So in other words, if there's just one holder and the price is at 100K, that's not good for the ecosystem. But if the price is at 8K and there's 10 holders, that's good for the ecosystem. So thinking about that level as a target for building interest and reputation in the project. So 9 prostitute level investors at the top to consider when blowing 8K on BFF. So 9 prostitute level investors at the top to consider when blowing 8K off the top one. Anyway, so I think it's just like, someone who's got a lot of money when blowing 8K on BFF. So yeah, people with big money coming in towards those tops, because I think this BFF is going to be something that's really important to the ecosystem. So Ian was saying, hey, Maria, shut up and pump teddy bear and peg P-Dye. Ian, totally agree with you, my boy. But one thing to consider, I get what you're saying with focused attention, but in my opinion, and this is just my opinion only, the concept of focused attention is brilliant. The concept of focused attention is brilliant, but again, this is like an older model of financial investing. So this is like every single meme coin, like just put your attention into it and then just pump those bags, and then of course the 5% win and 95% get wrecked. They get shut on. This ecosystem is completely different. This ecosystem is completely unique because there's all these different tokens that are popping up and they're all buffeting each other up. And this is something that's really continuously connecting with my mind that I want to share more and more about. And I'm actually just going to explain a little bit towards the end. And then maybe tomorrow, if I get time, I want to actually do some little diagrams. I'm not going to say those diagrams are going to be 100% correct, but I want to show you my thinking around it. So basically, when he was talking about this, Maria also mentioned about teddy bear. So I will place and burn the liquidity with teddy bear as soon as it hits the mark, so the 8K mark, and we can see what happens. My goal will be to reduce my number of tokens to 93 while keeping the price above 8K and burning liquidities. So there are others that want to provide Freedom777, shout out my boy, want to provide liquidity as well. Would Teddy be the best route to go? You mentioned no nukes and INC as well. I think having one or two BFF paired with a large number of separate tokens is the best way to support long-term price inflation. So even in the future, what's going to make this ecosystem attractive that Maria was also mentioning today is not seeing high volatility, seeing prices just consistently go up, consistently go up. What does that? What does that? Do you know that does that? What highly manipulated market does that? The S&P 500, the American stock market, it's been in a bull run for like decades now. Yes, there's pullbacks, and all the boys know about the pullbacks, start the pullbacks, tell all their buddies, and then they buy the dips. This is actually how it works. But we're actually creating our own stock market with the Atropa ecosystem. Maria was also saying today, like, imagine being in a Starbucks and you're buying a dip on Atropa with an app. Like, what? This is the kind of thing that can happen in this ecosystem, which people are really sleeping on. And even when I was when Zach was mentioning about this, and it made me think about a HEX meetup that I went to in Australia. I went to Sydney and went to the HEX meetup. And everyone that I spoke to, we're talking about Pulsechain, the things that are exciting us in there. And I was talking about Atropa. Every single one of them didn't know what it was. Maybe just one of them had heard about it from the people that I spoke. What is this telling me? Like, we're so early. Even the people within Pulsechain don't actually even know anything about it. The Atropa ecosystem Telegram, for example, only has 1,200 people. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put the link down in the Atropa ecosystem. This is for all the tokens. So each of the tokens has their own Telegrams that are being started by community, organics, grassroots. And this one is the one that's collective. It's the collectivized Atropa ecosystem token. So I would encourage everyone to get in there. Like, let's pool our minds together. Let's pool our resources together in the same way that HOA is doing. These guys, the Tang gang, have actually led the way. They've shown how to do it. So shout out to the Tang gang. These guys are brilliant how they do things. They're brilliant in their onboarding. They're brilliant in their marketing. They're brilliant in their collaborative working together. This is exactly what we should be doing in the Atropa ecosystem. Not just the Atropa ecosystem. This is exactly what we should be doing in Pulsechain. But still, there's this old mentality of like, you just buy my thing and no, screw you and screw that. I just want you to buy my thing. Wrong mindset, in my opinion. Okay, so now moving on. So okay, I've already mentioned this. So finally, the last thing. So this is the other one that I was looking at. So the no names token. This is the no names token. So there also is a Telegram for this. So I'm going to I'll add all the Telegrams for BFF, the no names, and I'll add it for the mini tokens as well in the description. I was just seeing here. Hang on a minute. We're seeing the same cheeky little pattern. We saw this same little burst. So I don't know what you'd call this pattern. I don't know. Whatever pattern that is. I don't know about patterns and all that kind of stuff. So it did a pump, 25x, 20x, had a dip. Can it do a 15x like this did a 12x? It's making its way up. I don't know if this is a bullish pattern or not. Some people would probably say this is not a bullish pattern. I don't know. Ascending wedge, descending wedge. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, they're all just probabilities, but whether or not they all work, I honestly have no idea. But I then looked at this and went, hang on a minute. I'm gonna have a little cheeky punt. I'm a degenerate. So I bought some down here, or maybe down here. I don't really know. I bought it on a dip, and because I didn't want to buy it while I was pumping like I did with this one, I bought it on a dip, and we'll see how it goes. So I think I'm up at the moment. But again, the whole intention behind this ecosystem, the whole way of actually working this ecosystem, I'm actually trying to figure out how am I going to best participate in this ecosystem. I need to take profits just like everybody else. You don't want to miss all the pumps and not take any profits, but you also don't want to be the guy that destroys it. Like you look at HEX, for example. HEX has it, this is why Richard always talks a market. Well, I think this is why he talks a market cap is fake, because the market cap is like this, but there's actually only like this much value in it. So if just this much value gets extracted out of it by someone, it collapses the whole ecosystem, which is what we've seen with HEX. It got destroyed. Now we're starting to see it get bonded up with other kinds of tokens. So I don't want to be that guy. And even with these tokens, if you look at BFF, Maria's saying, if you buy two, just sell one. So in other words, don't wreck the price. If you're going to be someone that's going to buy it and then just when it gets high, you could essentially wreck the price. There could be someone when it gets to 8K that just sells too many and it goes down to like 4K. If liquidity is not provided. So this is my thinking around the Atropa ecosystem is, again, going with the thirds. I don't know what the maths behind this is. I don't know whether this is going to be like the ultimate solution for the ecosystem. But my general way of thinking is, if I buy something, I'll have 1/3 to sell, 1/3 to provide liquidity at a good point to protect the ecosystem, to protect the value of the token. So in other words, with BFF, when it gets to 8,000, when BFF gets to 8,000, this is when we want to start seeing people create liquidity pools. Because if it gets to 8,000, if it gets to here, and then there's just one sell, the price can crash. It can crash right down if someone sells too many. But if there's a big pool of liquidity here, it can't crash because you're selling into that liquidity pool. So this is why Maria wants to start connecting it up with Teddy Bear, because Teddy Bear has so much liquidity. It's connected to so many tokens. I think it's probably like the most thickly connected liquidity token in the Atropa ecosystem. So then if I say, all right, let's just say hypothetically I bought here, it's probably going to depend on each situation. And let's say it gets to here, I sell 1/3, I put 1/3 into a liquidity pool, and then I just hold 1/3 liquid. So if it does keep going up, then I've still got my 1/3 to sell down. And then this that I sold here, I can either deploy that into another token and start providing and compounding this strategy, 1/3, just keep compounding out this strategy, or convert it into stables, whatever it's going to be, or I could buy a dip here. So that's the kind of thinking that I'm having around this. That's the kind of mentality that I want to have with this, because again, going back to the HEX example, so this is what I'm starting to see in Atropa. I think it's going to be a lot easier to explain with diagrams, but I didn't have time to do the diagrams today. But I did some little drawings, but I don't want to show those drawings because I want to actually show it like nice and proper. But let's say, again, using HEX as an example, this is the HEX value. So I'm just pulling numbers out of my ass. 4 billion at its all-time high. Let's say it was 4 billion, but in actuality, there's only really like $4 million worth of value in there, but it's got a market cap of 4 billion. Now, someone actually extracts 3 billion out of there, then it dumps the price, how it's been dumped, like 99%. But if you start connecting this pool of like imaginary value to other kinds of pools, then you don't need to, if you could sell a little bit into this one and it doesn't wreck the price of HEX too much. You could sell a little bit into this one. It doesn't wreck the price of HEX too much. This is what I'm seeing in the Atropa ecosystem, a network of tokens that are buffeting each other up. So even when Richard talks about like Pulsechain is going to make new millionaires, it's going to be where nobody's looking. It's going to be just like everything else. It's going to be the contrarian play. There's probably going to be Pulsechain millionaires, people who are actually just holding Pulsechain or just holding PulseX who are going to be millionaires. But my view is I really think people within the Atropa ecosystem on paper will be like the vast majority of millionaires, the people who are part of this ecosystem, because if I follow this strategy of compounding and protecting the ecosystem and providing liquidity, I could have like, let's say right now we're at the lows, Let's just say it keeps going up from here. Let's say I put it all into there and I have all these different liquidity pools and I've managed to deploy at these current prices, whatever, like $1,000, for example. In the peak of the bull market, it could be worth $1 million. But because I've got all these tokens distributed across all these different assets, it's not all just in one asset. I can just take a little bit out of here. I can take 10,000 out of this one. I can take 10,000 out of this one. I could take 10,000 out of this one, 10,000 out of this one, so on and so forth in like 50, 100, 150 different tokens without destroying the price of any single one of them. And because I'm a liquidity provider, I'm disincentivized to actually want to destroy the price because I want the price to stay stable. This is the thing. And if I then keep playing, if we keep collectivizing and playing by these ideas of like, hang on a minute, if we just provide liquidity at highs and it's going to like buffet a low, it just makes it more and more attractive for future investors. And this is the beauty. This is something where it's like, could this actually be a bear market hedge? We wanted HEX to be a bear market hedge, but it wasn't. And I believe that's because its liquidity wasn't bonded to enough assets. But this could potentially be a bear market hedge. But it really depends on how the ecosystem operates. There's going to be tokens where the big holders, so like Maria was saying, there's going to be tokens where there's going to be one person with like the majority and they'll just dump it and wreck the price. This is what happens with meme coins. We're avoiding meme coins. The Atropa ecosystem is not meme coins. It's a financial ecosystem that's being created on a decentralized blockchain, on a decentralized platform. This is real DeFi. Pulsechain is real DeFi. So get excited, get into it, get some BFF. Not financial advice, of course. Do whatever you want. Go buy bonds. But man, there's so many opportunities on Pulsechain. Things are moving, things are exciting. What a great place to be. What a great place to live. What a blessing. What a blessing. I've been nothing but grateful for these lows. Honestly, like the shift in mindset of these lows and the fact that I can see my boys accumulate more and more Pulsechain at these lows. They're just working their asses off. But this is actually very exciting because people can accumulate now. And let's say we start taking off now. Like, in a way, do we really want it to take off? Do you really want it to take off? Like, honestly speaking, we're not even in the peak of the bull market. What I would actually rather is if nothing happens and people can keep accumulating, and then for the last month of the bull market, we just go, we do our 100, 200, 300x. That would be the ultimate situation because then we were able to accumulate for all that time. But the problem is people are like, oh, these prices suck and there's negativity all over Twitter and Richard Hart has scammed us and the SEC's ruined us and all of these narratives of like negativity that are driven by negative emotions and a lacking mindset. This is the age of abundance. This is the age of gratitude. This is the new age. This is the new world that's being built, ladies and gentlemen. This is decentralized finance. This is going to be something that competes with and creates a better economic system that's going to be fair and beneficial to everybody on the planet. There's not going to be an Africa that's getting shat on by the financial system. There's not going to be third world countries because everybody's on a level playing field. Everybody can participate in the same way with the Atropa ecosystem. A new participant can come along, plug in, and they can benefit as much as anybody else, depending on the proportion that they put in. There's not going to be disadvantages. It's going to be a fairer world. It's going to be a better world for everybody. What's not to look forward to? The next 50, 100 years it's going to be, oh man, it's the best time to be alive. It's the best time in human history to be alive because also the world is waking up. The world is waking up to the wrongs of the world. The world is waking up as well to how the world actually is. Science is talking about it. Spirituality. I mean, I do not consider myself spiritual. I'm deeply rational and I'm also deeply emotional. I'm just both of those things. I don't consider myself to be spiritual. I froth over quantum mechanics and string theory as much as I do over God and Buddha and Allah. It's all the same shit to me. It's two sides of the same coin. I don't like to label it. This is the world that we're living in now, where that information is like seeping into everybody's consciousness and it's bubbling up in people's minds, and you cannot stop the truth. Why can't you stop the truth? Because once that truth enters into your mind, there's something in you. The truth in you recognizes that truth. There's something about it. That's what I recognize with the Trotha. What is this? What are all these tokens going off? I don't understand it. There's all these patterns. Something's happening. I didn't actually know it in my brain, but something in me was like, there's something here that is right. The truth in me was resonating with the truth of what's happening with the Atropa and Pulsechain ecosystem. I hope it's resonating with you too. I hope you're excited about the opportunities to come, and I hope you maintain a grateful mindset because, man, we are so lucky to be in this ecosystem. So many millionaires are going to be made in this ecosystem. We're going to be the envy of the blockchain world. When Richard Hart punches the SEC out, knocks them out, we are going to be the envy of the cryptocurrency world because we're going to be the only place with decentralized finance. And when we knock them out, and the ETF is there and it's destroying all of cryptocurrency, you just wait. That next cycle, we're going to be even more of the envy. Oh, why wasn't I in Pulsechain all those years ago? Why didn't I listen? Why didn't I actually get invested in into those tokens? Why was I listening to all the FUD that all the influencers who were getting paid in the background by Solana? Why did I listen to them? And why didn't I listen to Richard Hart, who was the GOAT? He always had everybody's best intentions at heart. He was always trying to make the world a better place, and it will be proven. It will be proven over time. So, thank you very much, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that episode. We'll see you tomorrow.